Black Scully on check. Got a little Bull Rush t-shirt on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we got quite a few things to talk about today. A lot is going on in the wonderful world of college football. Before I do get into what we'll be talking about today and get into the segment, as you guys know how we always do, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on this channel. I want to shout out my dogs, Matt, Adam, and Chris Heidel. Thank you for having me on your show yesterday. Had a complete blast. That's Herb FM. Make sure you guys check them out. Radio from Baltimore. I run into them at least a couple times a year, typically at ACC Media Days and then probably at the ACC Championship, depending on who's in the championship. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. They showed a lot of love to what we do over here with Governor of College Football and CFB Nation. So I thought it was uber important to show them some love. And I'm going to return the favor. I am doing a Governor's Guest Series coming up very soon. Maybe not next week, maybe the week after, where we can get some guests on here every day. You guys normally know I'm solo dolo. I think Moon has been the only guest on this show, but Governor Guest, I was telling you guys about it yesterday. We will start getting more guests on this show. And it was fun just being on somebody else's platform, just kind of see their approach to it. And I actually learned a lot. I love the fact that they, with it being radio, they use a lot of sound bites. They use a lot of clips. So had a blast even just sitting there in the green room, just waiting for them to bring me, to the stage and on the show, and for about 20 minutes, because I'm the type of person I want to get places early. So I got there early, kind of filling out the feeling, and then of course, we held our end of the bargain like we're always going to do on Governor of College Football. So yes, obliged. Also, we're number one. I'll actually give you guys an update. I forgot the screenshot, the image, but we are number one, and that's Pop's Pick'em League with, a bunch of other fantastic creators and college football media personalities. And it's dope that we representing the one percenters, man. And we're going to continue to do that. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going to be on today's docket. More news for Virginia Tech and UCLA. I think it's important that we cover this thing fully. Yesterday, I kind of went over it, but today I'm going to dedicate an entire segment to talk about both of these programs. And I believe that there are foundational changes that need to be made, and it needs to start, at the bottom and then work its way up, because they both of these programs have significant issues. So we'll talk about both teams in great detail, and maybe some coaches that can possibly, get them headed in the right direction. Something else we're going to talk about on today's episode of Governor of College Football, episode 86. We're just a few weeks out from hitting episode 100. I definitely want to do a special episode when we hit episode 100. I haven't mapped it out because I want it to be organic. Of course, I can just do the math and figure out when it will be. I don't want to do that, but the closer we'll get to it, I'll probably end up making that a primetime show and have a bunch of guests come on, and we may do like a 2-hour special. So definitely going to have a lot of fun. I was talking to our communication strategist yesterday, my dog Moon. He was putting in a myriad of credentials in. Don't know where I want to go just yet. I do have some picks. There are some games that at the top of my list is probably that Memphis and Arkansas game. A lot of great games this week, but that's probably right up there at the top of my list. And of course, Baylor, Arizona State, I would love to see that game as well. I think Utah and Texas Tech play this week, but that Memphis and that home field advantage that they have there, most home wins since 2014, I believe it is. They're up there. They're like second or third in the country with most home wins. They defend their home turf. So that's going to be a difficult game for Sam Pittman, Taylor Green, and company. So that would probably be up there at the top of my list. I just want to experience that, firsthand. So a lot of good games this week. I was idle last week. It was great, though. I got to watch a lot of games on TV. Got to help Moon with the website, help them with some articles, which is always dope. Make sure you guys check that out, thecfbnation.com. Also, we're going to talk about in our Into the News segment, we're going to talk about Joel Klatt. He released his top 10 as he does every Monday. He does his top 25, but we always just highlight the top 10 because I like to hear what he's thinking. Also, kind of mentioned it yesterday that he still does have Notre Dame in the top 25, and he agreed with the AP poll for putting them in their top 25. Of course, I disagree because college football is and will always be a sport about what have you done for me lately. Your schedule is your schedule. You decided to schedule, against two elite teams and you lost. We don't reward moral victories around here. This is college football. This isn't the NFL. And I didn't even realize as I'm ripping Notre Dame apart, right, while I was on the show yesterday, absolutely tearing into Notre Dame. Didn't even know that Matt on her FM was a Notre Dame fan. So I know he's looking and I know he's fuming. He didn't really say much, but my bad, dog. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't know you were a Notre Dame fan. Would I've eased up? Probably a little bit. I wouldn't twisted the knife. I'd have still gave you guys the knife. I just wouldn't have twisted it. But, that's neither here nor there. Did have a lot of fun on that show. Make sure you guys check them out. The Herb FM. And then also we're going to do our Heisman Watch as we always do every week. Heisman Watch 4.0. I think some of the candidates are the same, but there's some who have left the discussion. Cade Klubnik probably should have left the discussion a few weeks ago. He's out of it. Garrett Nussmeier's team is winning, but offensively, it's atrocious. And I saw Brian Kelly get really frustrated with a question that a fan asked. Then apologize a few days later. I don't know what to think of that, but it's a legitimate question because while teams want to celebrate victories. Of course, they mourn their losses, but they want to celebrate victories. But I think those hardcore LSU fans, especially in the media, are like, they threw 5 interceptions and we got 20 points to show for it. Yes, your defense played outstanding, but 5 interceptions and you only have 20 points to show for it. I think everybody's starting to figure out something is very wrong with this offense. What is it? I'm not sure, but yeah, something is very wrong with this offense. And the ESPN did something great, and you guys know I'm typically ripping ESPN apart. You guys know how I do. You know how I feel about, even though they have some great YouTube-based shows, Greg McElroy's show on there, and who else? Matt Berry has a show that they have on their ESPN College Football Channel. So they do have great content. It's just on the main stage they rather have the dualities, people arguing about things and loosely talking about things. I don't feel like it's a lot of niche, great college football discussion. Of course, College Game Day, we're going to admit that. And then NFL Live, I think they do a pretty decent job of explaining the game. But a lot of it is just the duality shows. Hey, I like this person. You got to hate that person. You like that person. I got to hate that person. I don't like that type of content. But to get back to the point, ESPN did. They've ranked the 39 unbeaten teams in college football because I think there's some really good teams that's kind of flying under the radar because we've seen so much. We've seen so much this college football season, and it's just started. So lots of things we're going to discuss today. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of it. Alrighty, into the news brought to you by the good folks over at Bull Rush, man. Make sure you check them guys out, man. Shout out to my dog Trent. He reached out via Twitter yesterday, which is pretty dope, and asked, my opinion on, do I believe that the Big Ten is better than the SEC? I told him yes, I do agree with that. I think the best that the Big Ten has to offer is better than the best that the SEC has to offer. Now, some people get offended by that. That doesn't mean I think that the Big Ten has a tougher gauntlet. They don't. But if you put up, the top 4 teams in the Big 10 versus the top 4 teams in the SEC, those top 4 teams in the Big 10 will win. I'm not saying all of them will win, but I think that if you look at the roster construction, you see what Oregon's doing right now. Penn State, Ohio State, they did beat Texas and made Texas look super pedestrian. And at that 4th spot, I will have to say Illinois versus who you deem the top 4 teams in the SEC. Give me the Big 10, and I truly feel strongly about that opinion. Virginia Tech fires Brent Pry. I spoke on this briefly yesterday. I hate the fact that he was fired because he's such a stand-up dude, and I hate when bad things happen to stand-up people. But he understands the assignment. He knew what he signed up for when he left Penn State to take over this job, and it's been a task. And a lot of people, the thing that they want to do, and they want to hide a lot of the facts from you. And I keep looking at my ticker like, dang, I need to upgrade my ticker. That is the SP Plus rankings from months ago. I need to upgrade the ticker. My apologies, everyone. But the first thing you want to do is go ahead and make a scapegoat and say, oh, it's his fault. Got a new offensive coordinator. They're still struggling to put up points. And the first thing you want to do is say, hey, it's his fault. Virginia Tech got a lot of problems, and it ain't just coaching. They got a lot of problems. I think Brent Pry was a solid dude. He's an outstanding defensive coordinator, and he'll get him another opportunity somewhere else as a defensive coordinator, and maybe a head coaching job at the G5 rings, just depending on what he and his family would like to do. But I don't think people realize how difficult coaching is on your family, like, because you don't just get fired, right? You know, and it's difficult for your mentals. Like, sometimes your assistants, you like whoever your admin is, they get fired. Of course, you know, both of these teams, I haven't heard what they plan on doing. You know, moving on for the, you know, duration of the year. Are they just going to name an interim coach? Are they going to try to get somebody else? And it's pretty much an audition for them moving forward to next year. But your family gets fired, man. Now you got to go find another job. That's another city to, you know, you got to move to. Got to say goodbye to all of, you know, the children who are in school. Got to say goodbye to their friends and all of that stuff. It's rough coaching at this profession. But like I always say, you know what you signed up for, that at some point, it's not an if or when. Either you will be dismissed, you know, via being fired, or you will want to move on and go get a better job. That's just the way that the college football landscape works. So, Virginia Tech fired Brent Pry. I want to talk to you later. I have a segment set up for Around the Nation about some people that I deem good fits for both of these schools. But like I said, everything has to be cleaned out. You can't just fire DeShaun Foster and blame DeShaun Foster for what happened. You also have to look at the way Chip Kelly left things. He didn't set him up for success. And I think Chip Kelly will even tell you that. And if he doesn't, he's a liar. And I'll call him a liar to his face. Like, yo, you didn't set this dude up for success. But he was tired of the profession. He was tired of fundraising. He was tired of all of those things that you have to do, those little niche / nuanced things that you have to do at the collegiate level. That's why he, you know, was looking for a job last year in the NFL. That didn't happen. Ended up with Ohio State as offensive coordinator. He could just focus on coaching. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some coaches just want to focus on coaching. We showed Jeff Hafley from Boston College do the same thing a few years ago. Was supposed to get fired at Boston College. I think they had a perfect October, damn near a perfect November as well. Ended up making a bowl game because, it was out there. They didn't hide it. The AD didn't hide it. The boosters didn't hide it. The donors didn't hide it. They wanted him out of Chestnut Hill. After he had turned things around and they won games, they welcomed him back with open arms. He said, y'all not going to do this to me. Y'all not going to do this to my family. I want to coach in a sport that's about coaching and not fundraising. So he's now the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, who look very good, by the way. So shout out to Jeff Hafley, stand-up dude. I always try to, the people that I've met and they're stand-up. I remember when we were interviewing Jeff Hafley, and shout out to my dog Nino, because he goes to all the Boston College games. So he was conducting an interview, but it was digital, even though we were at the ACC Media Days, right? So it was digital. We were there, so we had to plug him up to a mic. We had to make it so he can hear Nino asking him questions. It was like via StreamYard or something like that. And then, you know, Coach Hafley had to like look at the camera and answer the questions the entire time. He could have told us no. Our setup did take a little while, but he was patient. He was professional. He thanked us. He told Nino, hey, man, you guys got a really good team here. You should really shout them out because they made this happen. Because we was working as fast as we possibly could to set this thing up at ACC Media Days because Nino was unable to be there. So he's just he's a stand-up guy. So, you know, happy trails for him. Also, Brent Pry, another stand-up guy. Never met DeShaun Foster, but, you know, I have been following him for a very long time. I remember his playing days at UCLA. But that coaching hire never seemed like to be the right hire, right? It just seemed like to be, well, he's a Bruin man. You know, we could probably get him on the cheap. And buy us a couple of years. That's what it seemed like. Now, Virginia Tech, on the other hand, they did their research. They said, well, this guy, they're one of the top defenses in the country. He does have the ability to recruit top defensive players who want to play in his system because he's had some really good players play, you know, in his system, that being Brent Pry, I believe. Michael Parsons played in this system. Also, Peanut Charles Tillman played in this system. That was many years ago. I believe that was at the FCS level or the G5 level that he played in this system. So, you know, they had done their research, but I do believe that Virginia Tech has a lot of internal problems, you know, and they got to figure this thing out. I just challenged them to really invest in college football. Those who are willing to do everything that they need to do as it pertains to recruiting. And if you can't recruit really well, you know, hey, man, you need to be willing to do what they did, you know, down in Lubbock this past offseason and spend some money. You got to be willing to spend money. Why do you think we seen a more competitive balance at the college football level is because teams are able to spend money. That's why we're seeing a more competitive balance. So if UCLA, who's in California, LA, it's not hard to, sell LA, institution of higher learning, a respected school. My brother got his PhD from there. When I tell you, that campus is beautiful. Where is the money going, UCLA? Where's the money going? I know you guys had 300 fans at the game. It was probably more than that. I'm just saying 300 because the view from the blimp looked like it was 300 fans. But where's that money going? And I know there's a lot to compete with in LA. Kendrick said it best. Women, weed, and weather. So much to compete with in LA. And you don't even see it at USC games, but they've been playing well this year. And I actually had them in my top 25. And I don't know. Something funny is going on with the money. You talking about a school with a rich, they've had decent years, collegiately for football, better than decent years, to be honest with you. But basketball has been their calling card. I just can't figure out where the money is. Because your tuition is expensive. You got a bunch of students going there. Your campus is beautiful. Who's getting this money? Where's the money going? Why can't you retain coaches? You let your defensive coordinator go right across town and you did nothing about it. You just allowed it to happen. Like, you have to spend money in this sport. This ain't 1975, brother. And the dream of going to California, hey, we're going to make you a movie star out here. Like, bro, ain't nobody want that. Yo, am I going to get ample playing time? Are you going to develop me? You guys had Dante Moore and dropped the bag. How did you have Dante Moore and fumble the bag and he's out there killing it in Eugene right now? You had him as a true freshman. Wouldn't even play him. If you guys would have given him a system that worked and that fit his skill set, because they told you guys that he was a drop back passer when he arrived at campus, instead of Chip Kelly trying to use him the way that he used his other quarterbacks during his tenure there, it just don't make sense to me. UCLA shouldn't be difficult to sell. California is easy to sell now. Are you willing to spend the money? Teams that are willing to spend the money to get active are teams that are winning. Look at what Tulane is doing right now. Winning. Look at what Memphis is doing right now. Winning. Look at what USF is doing right now. Winning. There are programs that are competing at the high level because they're willing to spend money. Miami of Ohio is willing to spend money. Ohio, the Bobcats, is willing to spend money because if you think that their quarterback Navarro didn't have P4 looks, you're highly mistaken. There were other teams willing to give him money. And, of course, he's a loyal guy, so he stayed put. But, it takes money to get success at this collegiate level. So I challenge both of these programs to, hey, man, clean your house from inside out. Don't just clean it from the gridiron perspective. Who's the people in here? Like, man, who's cutting these checks? I'm looking at the payroll department. I'm looking at the people, the movers and shakers. Like, do y'all even care about football? Y'all even care about us putting out a quality team? And this is no disrespect to DeShaun Foster. Please don't take it this way. Dude, was he qualified for the position? Eric Bieniemy was there for a year, gone. You got Tino Sinceri right now, and he looks pedestrian after leading an explosive offense at Indiana last year. In the Big Ten, oh, by the way. So something funny is going on with both of these programs, and I just had to put that out there. So, of course, we had a lot of movement in AP poll. I did my reaction to it yesterday. But in case you didn't see that show, I always try to still give AP poll news. Clemson and SC is out, as they should be, even though everybody didn't see it that way. Vandy is in, and that's the way it should be. Dabo Swinney, brother, you are on the clock. And I don't mean on the clock because your sheet is hot. I'm just saying you're on the clock. Okay, it's about time now you start using the transfer portal. It really is. And I know you've gotten a piece here and there, but, try to go get some solidified people. I get it, bro. You want to develop your roster, and I've supported you, and I've said you've done it your way. But this output that y'all have had, and it's not just on you. It really is. The defense has played lights out, but, Garrett Riley, what's going on? We're going backwards. Cade Klubnik, what's going on? We're going backwards. That's what I would like to see. Texas A&M, are they for real? I believe so. I believe so. I think they're figuring things out. They did what I think a lot of programs should do. If you have a stud play caller at the head coach spot, go get you a stand-up defensive coordinator that's going to help the program. Or if you're a stud defensive coordinator, whose principles are in defense, your wheelhouse is in defense, like a Mike Elko, go get you a stud offensive coordinator in Colin Klein. And that's what they've been able to do, and that's why you're seeing success. That's why they was able to go to South Bend, and, both teams had to play against the refs because the refs did a terrible job that game. I'm 100% comfortable in that. But, to be in the conditions they were in, the game was delayed. They just made a lot of plays. I think a lot of people don't remember they had a kickoff call back. Remember that on the final drive they had a kickoff return call back, and they still went down the field. Notre Dame had done everything that they were supposed to do, just couldn't get a stop. And that's supposed to be Marcus Freeman, wheelhouse. But that's a whole nother discussion. Let's talk about Joe Clapp's top 10. Shout out to Joe Clapp. Huge fan of his show. I think he is what's great about college football media. He approaches the game the right way. He can give you the game from a broadcaster view, from a player view, and from an X&O view, so from a coach as well. And he's even, in the offseason, he did some really creative things, like explain various concepts and stuff like that. So shout out to him. So let's look at his top 10 after 2 weeks. He had Utah at 10, Florida State at 9, Texas at 8, Oklahoma at 7, Miami at 6, Georgia at 5, Penn State at 4, Oregon at 3, LSU at 2, Ohio State at 1. Yes, LSU has 2 top 25 victories. I don't know. There's things about me as a media personality that some of you guys won't like. I really stick to my guns unless proven otherwise, and I feel like that's got me a lot of success in my life. If I'm walking down the street, something don't feel right, and where I'm from, Leverett, I'm around there, and something don't feel right. It's nighttime. Let's say I want the yums or something to get some carry out, and something don't feel right. I ain't gonna bother just stand there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If you had something on you, you're gonna pull that thing out, right? That's just the way it is. And so I've always stuck to my guns. And there's something to me not right about LSU. And I know everybody wants to crown them, but there's something. You can't look at that team and tell me defense is amazing. Even when Weeks went out, like I said, his brother Wes Weeks just doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. Defense is phenomenal, but that offense is not good. It's not, and it's supposed to be explosive. It really is supposed to be explosive. And I don't deem them the second best team in the country. And I got a quiz for you. If LSU and Oregon play right now neutral site, who you got winning? Ohio State and LSU play neutral site, who you got winning? Georgia and LSU play neutral site, who you got winning? Miami and LSU play neutral site, who you got winning? These are questions that I need people to answer. Right? So when you start doing your top 10, right? Hey, they're winning, and that's what we've asked Brian Kelly to do, win. But why you guys not putting up points? Why you guys got 5 turnovers and got 20 points to show for it? That's a little scary to me, right? So I think we talked already enough about the AP poll. We're gonna move on to our next segment, Governor Reacts. Alrighty, so I like this a lot. ESPN, I told you guys, ranked at 39.
Bear Down Brotherhood.
And I thought this was incredible, and I thought this was
how close we are.
Reacting to.
All the players preach it, they feel it. Everybody loves each other and cares about each other.
You guys don't know what pre-production is.
Bear Down Brotherhood means to me, I mean, what happened in January was probably
make sure that they're copyright free
a good example.
And my little third is wrong.
17 unanswered points in the fourth, and Arizona has won the Alamo Bowl.
We coming off a good feeling, 7-game win streak, so everybody's hyped up and pumped up.
The Arizona Wildcats finish out the 2023 season with 10 wins.
As a team, you feel accomplished, capping off a year like that.
No, I was ready to kick off 2024.
And that's when I started getting texts, from the guys and everything like that.
A stunning turn of events this weekend within the U of A football program
that leaves the Arizona Wildcats searching for answers less than a week after finishing with their highest final ranking in 25 years.
Many players could end up transferring out of Arizona as well.
We were in a car, and all of a sudden just scroll through social media and just talk about asking each other, hey,
so we're gonna look at these, 39 teams.
Everybody was shocked.
A lot of this stuff is chalk, but I think there's some teams that people don't quite realize.
A lot of side conversations, a lot of different text messages, chats, just like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? It was like a weird 2-3 days.
What's up real quick?
Who called the first team meeting?
Nagel did. He called it. It was his idea. That's crazy. We probably, I don't know who sent the text, but yeah, it was his idea.
So how do you guys feel about a team like Arizona right now?
Sit down as a collective just to calm
nerves
everybody's
because we've seen them look phenomenal.
Emotions, see how they're feeling, and make it a comfortable place for them to express themselves.
jump ship and went to Washington. We seen them look outstanding.
A big thing that we should do
during his tenure there. I believe they had
I told everybody,
what was it like?
We built
2,
this
maybe
program,
3 losses
we
that
turned
year.
the
And
program.
that was the
We
last
wanna
year of the
continue
Pac-12.
what we
But
built.
at 39, they got Michigan
writing
State.
it down and just doing this together.
I like what Michigan State
Finishing
is
off 4
doing
years
right
together.
now. I thought
Arizona
that they could be a team that was on the
new
cusp
man
of
in
bowl
charge has
eligibility.
touchdown.
Will they continue
Welcome
this
back
trend? Probably
to
not.
Tucson
That
for
gauntlet
Brent
is rough
Brennan.
playing a Big
As
Ten,
we get to
but
know each other,
Jonathan
as we build this thing,
Smith, Aiden
I'll
Childs
earn your
coming
trust
there
over
doing.
time.
You
Let's
have to
just
be
build something
impressed with it.
special.
They've been
He
able
came
to
in here
score a little bit.
and like
They was
immediately
able to
met with
put 41 up on Youngstown State
after
this
meeting
past
with
week.
the
But I
players
like
for
where
a
they're
couple
at.
days
UNLV
and just
are
sitting in my
finally
office and
figuring
letting
things
them
out.
just pepper me with
We
questions.
saw them
They
in
asked me a
week 0
million
struggle
questions.
with
We
Idaho
had 2
State. I
different
think a lot of
sessions.
that was just deemed
Each one lasted about
to
2
them
hours.
trying to run a
About 25
two-quarterback system.
players
Where I
in there
think,
each day.
Anthony Kalani definitely
It was after the
outplayed
second
Alex
session
Orji, but I
that
thought it
Noah
was
and T-Mac
cool of
like
Dan
closed the door
Mullen
and told me
to
that they
still
wanted to
utilize
stay.
Alex Orji.
When things happen, we already knew from the jump that we were going to stay together regardless.
They didn't play in week 3.
Person to say that
One
he
in
wanted
week
to
0
stay.
versus
There was no
Idaho State.
There's no
He got a
hesitation.
nice
There's no
victory
flinch in
over
his
a
answer
Power 4
throughout the
team, or
entire
lack
week.
thereof,
Right after the
UCLA.
meeting, we ended up going to
And week
Rubio's
2,
meeting and just
and they
kinda
are
talked.
impressive.
From that point
3-0. No, is
I was
that the
pretty
team
adamant
to
that I was gonna
beat
stay, and I was just trying
in
to
the
find
Mountain
a
West? I think that's a question I have to ask
sign that
everyone.
that was like-
North Texas has looked
Didn't feel
really
like
good.
to me just to
Really good. They really
to
have,
leave
and
what we already
the
had built
American is
over
going to be
here.
difficult to figure
They're just
out
kinda
because you got a few teams in that
A
conference.
bunch of other players.
Either 0
talked to me
losses or
the
1
same, right?
loss,
So that was
and North Texas can be there right in the thick
Gunner,
of things.
Dalton,
UCF
Big Jonah,
is currently 2-0.
So
They had
all
a
those
bye
things
week
started
last
to kind
week.
of
I
domino.
think they play North Carolina this
And,
upcoming week.
I could
do
feel
have
the
them winning.
excitement.
That is one of the
I
games.
know I was
That's a
excited.
tough Tuesday side
got
to win.
unfinished business.
But if it was
Running it
in
back.
Chapel Hill,
Bear
I'd
down.
have picked UNC. But because
It
they
just felt like an
idle
elephant
last
stepped off your chest, you know? Like, it just felt good. Because deep down, we all wanted
I
to
think they'll be
stay.
ready.
They kind of really
Scott
all
Frost,
aligned
man,
perfectly
2.0.
for us. Like,
You got to watch it.
okay,
NC State, I think, should be ranked a
Coach
little bit
Brandon's
higher
been
than
amazing.
35 in this unbeaten team race.
We all want to finish.
They are that kid CJ Bailey is real good. Shout out to Dave Dorian. There was years that I felt like NC State was on the cusp of being like going from a tier 2 team in the ACC to a tier 1 team, but something that always slowed them down. Definitely unimpressed with what we saw a season ago, but they're figuring it out. Yes, it's early in the season.
The choice they made was they chose each other.
Coming in number 34,
really kind of a
Navy.
big picture.
What's not to love about Navy, man?
Family
Where they
decision,
beat
which
teams,
makes
they put
it
hands and
to
feet
me all
on
the more
Tulsa.
special.
That's why we're trying to
Won a lot
make
of
sure
ball
that
games
everybody
last year. They was
understands
able to
this
return
was
some
a
production this
team
year. Blake
decision.
Horvath is the real
we
deal.
wouldn't
If
be
you
here
have
if the
not
team
seen
wasn't
it,
here.
More than
gotten
70
an
guys
opportunity to see him
staying.
play. He's electric.
I think that many
Coming at
guys stayed
33,
because they
there's
knew they were
certainly
part of the
like
family.
feel-good stories in college football, and one of them right now is what's going on in Berkeley right now. We had the opportunity to interview
This year, yeah, we're continuing that bond,
Even though I was
that
overall
chemistry we had from last year.
unimpressed with the
Obviously, we
output
got
by
new
the
guys
ACC.
coming in, you know,
I
trying
don't
to
think
bring
we
them
nearly got
along.
enough interviews.
Everything we do is as
that
a
what
team.
we did at the
You know, it's
Big
never
12
just
and
one
the
person.
American.
It's like when you're
The
part
American,
of
it was crazy.
Arizona
Like,
football,
teams were fighting.
you're in the
know?
Bear Down Brotherhood.
So,
You know, you're never alone.
The brotherhood is true. The Bear Down Brotherhood is real. And y'all can see that.
So you guys couldn't probably hear a word I said. I didn't know that. My apologies. I saw I got a call from Jayla. I'm like, Jayla, no, I'm live. What is he calling me for? My bad. So we're going to back up a little bit. This is why I hate doing pre-production at the last minute. So coming at number 39 is Michigan State. You know, Michigan State, really good team. They arguably could be higher. I like what their head coach Jonathan Smith is doing. I love with, you know, Aiden Childs is doing. I told you guys this before, that I think they had, you know, an excellent opportunity to be bowl eligible this year. They headed off to the right track. UNLV, I've talked about them quite a lot. I told you guys that I hated that they came in with a 2-quarterback system. Dan Mullen fixed that quickly because Anthony Kalani was clearly outplaying Alex Orji. But I thought it was nice of him to still give him opportunity. Coming at number 37, North Texas, man. The American. I've been telling people have not wanted to listen, that I think that the American is the best G6 conference. Even when the Pac-12 joins the G6 next year, the American is the best G6 conference, and I'm confident in that. Scott Frost 2.0 is really killing it. Down in Orlando at UCF, they play North Carolina. They got North Carolina coming to town. The fact that they were idle last week, Scott Frost is going to be ready for UNC. Give me UCF in this game, and I think they'll remain undefeated. NC State, shout out to Dave Dorian. CJ Bailey is killing it out there right now for NC State. Always thought for the last several years that NC State was on the cusp. Like, they were a tier 2 team trying to get into that tier 1 status. Shout out to my dog, Jalen, bro. I appreciate you, bro. My phone's on silent when I'm live, but thank you. I really do appreciate it. I did not know I had that video playing. So appreciate that, brother. But yeah, I thought they were teetering for years on that tier 1 scale. It'll be interesting to see how they look once they get into their core, ACC play. But we'll see, man. Shout out to them though. Navy is a really good team from the American. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch them much, really disciplined team. They're going to play outstanding defense. And I know a lot of people hate the archaic and antiquated flex mode offense that they run, but I think they've modernized it just a tad bit. So they will throw the ball. And that kid, Blake Horvath, is must-see TV. California Cal, in my opinion, is the story. One of these stories that a lot of people aren't talking about in college football. This Berkeley program, what Justin Wilcox has been able to do, we were able to sit down with everybody that they brought to ACC Media Days, other than JKS. And I'm not mad about it, but I was supposed to be interviewing JKS. And that's Jaron. I can't pronounce his name. But anyway, this kid has been electric, and I know a lot of us were heartbroken for Devin Brown. I know Jalen and Devin Brown had one of the best interviews I thought that we've ever done at CFB Nation. And then Moon and, Coach Wilcox was able to have a great discussion as well. But there was just this feeling when you talk to those players that something will be different about Cal this year. They can absolutely win the ACC this year. You heard me correctly. Cal can win the ACC. I didn't stutter. Cal can win the ACC this year. All righty. 32, we got Rutgers. 3-0 gently, quietly this year. Beat the crap out of Mike Vick and Norfolk State. And, they did what they were supposed to do. Handle business. They did have a scare with Ohio. I think that was week 1 they had the scare with Ohio. But, yeah, it feels like a really sweet story. I would have Cal ranked over them. I also would have Navy ranked over them. No disrespect. Mississippi State 3-0, man. It feels good. We saw, week 2. They was the darlings of the sport after beating a daggone good Arizona State team. Mississippi State 3-0. I said it before the season. I said people aren't evaluating Mississippi State correctly. I think Jeff Labby, having a full season under his belt will bode well for him. I think people forgot that Blake Shapen was injured last year. You have to like what you see. I think they will 100% be bowl eligible. Don't expect them to win the, SEC or anything, but they'll be competitive, and that's what's important. Can you compete? If you can compete, you can get athletes to come there. Because Jeff Labby's system is a fun system to play in. 100%. Houston 3-0. Shout out to Willie Fritz. I love what they were able to do versus Colorado. That was the first game that I rooted against Colorado since Coach Prime has been there. And it was difficult to do because I still wanted them to make plays, but I knew that they had panicked and made a mistake in starting Ryan Starr. So it'll be interesting to see who they end up starting this upcoming week. But we shall see. Maryland 3-0, and they should be 3-0. I don't think they should be this high on this list. I have gotten to see Maryland, live in person. I thought Northern Illinois gave them all that they can handle. That kid Malik Washington is real deal. And let's be honest about it. Mike Loxley is coaching for his job right now. Make no mistake about it. Bowl eligible, he keeps his job. If they aren't bowl eligible, then we'll have to see. But it will be interesting to say the least. My phone's going off, and now I keep checking it just to make sure it nothing crazy going on. Shout out to Arizona, bro. Going all the way to Arizona. They beat Kansas State this past week, 23-17. They look comfortable. We've got to see, what things are like post Jed Fish, who's now in Washington. But I like what I've seen from Arizona. I said it in the preseason. Moon said it in the preseason that we thought that Noah Fafita will be back this year. Because all last year, we kept asking each other, it's like, yo, what's going on with Noah Fafita? Right? But got a good feeling about them. As well as other teams, like, it's weird when you'll have thoughts about teams and then you get to be around them, see what the aura is like, what the energy is like. You get down and you get to talk to them. You see, are they speaking coach speak when you're talking to quarterbacks? Do they sound like their coach? Because a lot of them should sound like their coach because it should be one mission, one goal, right? So Arizona, I would like them high on this list. Memphis, I can't talk greatly enough about Memphis. Another great interview, Moon interview Coach Silverfield. I would love to go to that game this week. I believe they have Arkansas this upcoming weekend. And it's going to be a daggone good game. And Memphis, it's hard to go in Memphis and leave with a win. That environment is crazy. BYU at 2-0. I believe they were idle a week ago. Another team we got to sit down and talk to at Big 12 Media Days. Got to talk to their stud running back, LJ Martin. A team that I like a lot. I wasn't sure how things would pan out after Retzlaff broke the honor code and was said he was suspended, and then he withdrew and went to Tulane, and he's lighting it up at Tulane right now. But, Bear, Bachmeier, I think this team's gonna be pretty interesting. The Big 12 it's gonna get interesting. It's gonna come a time because we got quite a few Big 12 teams that are undefeated. Everybody's just gonna start beating everybody. That's what's gonna happen. Washington is 2-0. They were idle a week ago. Gotta like what they're doing with Demar Williams Jr. Jonah Coleman is legit, and then with Jed Fisher head coach, you gotta like them a lot. Tulane, we was just talking about them. Jake Retzlaff has been impressive. Can they keep Jon Sumrall? Because all Jon Sumrall has done is win. He did it at Troy. He's doing it now at Tulane. He's got an outstanding energy about him too. When you get to meet him in person, he expects to win. The pursuit of excellence that this guy carries. And, he's a coach that I think both of these programs should go after, both of those programs being UCLA and Virginia Tech. But does he want to go there? Because while they're interviewing him, best believe Jon Sumrall is going to be interviewing them. Well, how much money are you guys willing to spend? Do you believe in this football program, right? Rate your, programs at your school and what you deem most important. The question that he's going to ask these schools, I'm not sure they're quite prepared for. And the question I ask myself is, he's in a Big Easy. And I hear the food. I've never had it. I've never been there. I hear the food is immaculate down there. We've actually been invited to Tulane, so we do need to go out there. We do have solid connections with Tulane as well. But, how you guys going to get him out of the Big Easy? Of course, he would love to coach at the Power 4 level, but I think a lot of times with coaches, it got to be at the right spot. It has to be at the right spot. And all he's been able to do, since he's been a head coach is win. So, yes, UCLA and Virginia Tech should absolutely be interested in him, but is he interested in them? That's a question I like to propose to everyone. Nebraska 3-0. Matt Rule. Believe in Matt Rule year 3. I think you guys may see fireworks this upcoming weekend with Nebraska facing Michigan, and I got Nebraska by a lot. I really do. And I didn't think we'll be at this point, but it's just what, the expectations that have been set forth by Matt Rule. Did you not see that halftime speech? Did you not want to lace him up one more time when you saw that speech? It was incredible. Incredible. By the way, they were beating the crap out of a team. But he wasn't happy with people checking themselves out in the mirror. My man said no charter flights. We getting on the bus. I like that mentality. I like that approach. He wants them to be the gritty Nebraska that they were of old. And, they got a chance to make their mark. And Dylan Raiola has played pretty well this season so far. I did think Cincinnati had a lot of opportunities to beat them in week 1. I think that was on that Thursday night game. Maybe Friday night it was. I don't remember. Thursday night I think it was. So we'll have to see what Nebraska. They got Michigan up next, so it's going to be interesting. Auburn 3-0. 19th and 20th in SP Plus and FPL rankings. They defeated South Alabama 31-15. Jackson Arnold is going to be jacked up returning to Norman next week or this upcoming weekend. If you don't believe that he won't want to go there and leave with a victory, this is something, if you've been watching this show, we're on episode 86. I was talking about this episode 12. Yeah, that's this season, in the off season when a lot of people sleep. I was talking about this game. I said I had this circled on my calendar. I don't care where I'm at. My phone will be out, and I'm going to be watching this game because I want to see what Jackson Arnold do versus that team. That's going to be a daggone good game. If Auburn finds a way to win that game, which I think it'll be difficult, but Jackson Arnold will plant his flag in the middle of that field, and all hell will break loose. I guarantee that. He's going to come in jacked for that game. TCU. If there's a team you want to buy stock in, you said, I know there's some good teams out here. I don't know where TCU and CFB Nation has been on this. We knew TCU was going to be good this year. Why? Because we were at Big 12 Media Days. Because I got an opportunity to talk to Bud Clark. We got an opportunity to talk to quarterback Hoover. We got an opportunity to talk to the movers and shakers on that team, and they all shared a united message. The relationship between Bud Clark and Josh Hoover is incredible. Like, it's just little nuances that you get when you're at these events. So, I was talking to Bud Clark, and he was like, they share information all the time. Like, Bud Clark will give it to him. Like, when a bad play happened, he'll give it to him from a defense perspective. Well, I was showing you this because I had a feeling you would do that. That way, he's not doing it in game. And when Hoover beats him, he's like, hey, this is what I saw in it. You should probably play this like that. That's how you grow as a program. So, and Sonny Dykes is a daggone good coach. I think a lot of people forgot because, that breakout year that they had in 2022, and then they've been kind of mediocre the last few years. That's just what the Big 12 is, bro. You're just a few plays away from, being in the championship game or barely being bowl eligible. That's the landscape of the Big 12. That's just what it is. So you want to be, up there, and TCU got a damn good team. Iowa State, another damn good team. 4-0, battle tested, haven't had an idle week all season yet. They've played all 4 weeks of the season, including week 0. And you got to like this team that they find gritty ways to win. Everybody might not like it. They beat Iowa State, 16-13. Defeated Arkansas State, 24-16. They beat Kansas State week 1, 24-21. So, yeah, it's close games, but these close games matter. Hey, we've been here before. That's what Matt Campbell can look. Rocco Beck can look at the rest of the players. Hey, we've been here before. We know how to win these games. Defense, y'all don't get a stop. Hey, we got y'all. We're going to drive down on field and score. That's the type of program that they're building their names, and you got to love it. Louisville at number 19. I was having a great conversation with Moon. I can't wait till, Moon is back, doing world of college football again. Just things outside of his control at the moment. But he was saying that, he's not a big believer in Louisville. He thinks they're fraud just because, some of the games that they struggle with. I stick to my guns 100%. I think Louisville is legit. I think Louisville can win the ACC. They were idle this past week. It'll be interesting, but they got 8 home games this year. I thought they did an outstanding job with their schedule. Of course, the 4 games that they have on the road is, ACC. You got to play, 4 conference games on the road. But I'm a huge fan of them. Utah's incredible. And you had the feeling that Big 12 Media Days they was going to be incredible because how Devin Dampier was walking around that joint like he was the man. For real. Georgia Tech 3-0. They just find ways to win. I think they're comparable to Iowa State. It may not be pretty all of the time, right? But these games you can back pocket. And we've been here before. Haynes King. That's what Brent Keegan said. Haynes King, we've been here before. We know how to win this one. Jamal Haynes, we've been here before. We know how to win this. This is what we do. So you got to love that. You got to love it. So Georgia Tech at 17, I ain't mad at it. Vanderbilt at 16, let me tell you something. I thought before this season started, Diego Pavia was crazy. And as it stands, he is crazy. And the people on that team is crazy. Clark Lee is crazy. That program is crazy. They're 3-0. And they're 3-0 say, hey, back-to-back bowl years. They're 3-0. They think they're going to win the whole daggone thing. So when you combine a crazy head coach with a crazy quarterback and a bunch of crazy followers and a crazy running back in Alexander and a crazy following, the team from Nashville believe they can win it all. And I'm not talking about the SEC. They believe they can beat anybody on any given Saturday. That's what Vanderbilt's believe. Don't look at me like I'm crazy because I see you looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I promise you. They think they can beat anybody. They went into Columbia. I know Lenore Sellers was hurt. I know I've said on this show that there's a few things that scare me about South Carolina at the moment. But they went in there in Columbia. That's a difficult place to play, and it was business as usual. 31-7. This team is scary. This team is scary good. How many teams in the SEC can we say look super dominant this year? I'll wait. Who's looked super dominant in the SEC this year? Texas, no. Do they have the capabilities to be? Maybe. But have they looked okay? Yeah. What about Alabama? Oh, they look pedestrian versus Florida State. Have they looked decent since that? Yeah. They look better. Tennessee, much better than I had anticipated. They've been giving up a lot of points. Georgia, Joey Aguilar started 14-14. Their defense doesn't look the same, but Gunnar Stockton looks better than advertised. What team is dominant in the SEC? I asked a question. It's not rhetorical. Well, I'm asking, I'm generally asking, how do you feel about it? Shout out to post game. Shout out to Jalen. My bad. Jalen was in the chat. I normally put my chat up. I ain't even have my chat up. But shout out to everybody who's watching this right now. I truly do appreciate it. Streaming on 3 different platforms. So if you see me talking to somebody and you don't see them talking, it's probably on a different platform. But yeah, that's the question I got to ask. Who's dominant in the SEC right now? Who are you afraid of in the SEC? You afraid of Tennessee? Are you afraid of Georgia? Well, Kirby Smart's there, so of course you're going to respect them. Are you afraid of them? Florida have not met my expectations. LSU, defense is playing phenomenal, right? Defense is playing outstanding. What about the offense? Who scares you in the SEC is the question that I ask. Right? And we went through a handful of teams. Who else we got in the SEC? Mississippi State look good, but do they scare you? Are you afraid of them? Right? This is what I'm asking. Texas A&M has looked damn good. Missouri looks good as well, but are you afraid of them? That's what I'm saying. So when that team from Nashville, they really think they can win the SEC and go win the national championship. They really believe that. Right now, who's my favorite to win the SEC? I was asked this question last night. If you asked me yesterday, it was Georgia. You asked me today, it's Texas A&M. It will continue to change. It will continue to fluctuate. But don't be surprised if Andy right there in the thick of things. I know the schedule's going to get tough, but they showed me a lot. Even with Lenore Sellers getting hurt, they showed me a lot. Number 15, Indiana. They've got some nice wins this past week versus teams they should get nice wins against. I want to see you do that versus Brett Bielema in Illinois. That train in Champaign, I'm telling you, this team is better than advertised. Illinois is better than advertised. And I know I had them in my college football playoff, and I was a little afraid when I did it. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who would emerge as the guys in that wide receiver room. But when I tell you Luke Altmaier is still the most disrespected quarterback in college football, I feel that way. They're going to go into Bloomington, Indiana, and leave with a win. I promise you that. Texas Tech, love the fact that they're at 13. They should not be higher than Illinois. But they've looked damn good. The defense is paid off because they couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. They just couldn't. We saw Baylor go in there and hang 59 on them a season ago, right? Defeated Oregon State. Dude, hey, man, you want to win, go play Oregon State. I wonder how Malik Murphy feels now. Left Durham for Corvallis, even though Durham has lost their last 2 games, and they've just been awful. They really have. Oklahoma coming in at number 12, like it. Why does ESPN have Missouri over Oklahoma? Now, Missouri look good. I watched the Border War, damn good game. Bo Prabilla is better than advertised. I promise you that. Amar Hardy, hello, Heisman. You are now in the conversation. That kid is phenomenal. He's averaging 8.1 yards per carry. I think he's on pace for over 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns. Yes, Missouri is a daggone good team, and I think we might have just been a year early. We were looking at last year, hey, they got the easiest schedule in the SEC if there's such a thing. I think they had the 29th strength of schedule. We think Brady Cook is going to be elite. We thought Luther Burton was going to come out and show out this past season. Could they get enough stops, and could that help them make them a college football playoff team? That's the question we were asking, right? It's interesting, man. I promise you it's interesting. Do I think that they're better than Illinois? I don't know. I would love to see them 2 teams play, to be honest with you. I really would. CJ Carr has franchise potential, says Jalen. He does. Potential, right? We're operating off the word potential. He ain't there yet, but you're saying off of potential. Okay, I can deal with that. Florida State, 2-0. They had a bye week a week ago. Really like where this team's at. Didn't expect this team to be as physical as they were. They've lost a lot of pieces, but they are certainly winning the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage. And we just got to see them play better teams. They played Alabama for sure, but some of these upper echelon ACC teams, I want to see how they fare. LSU coming in at number 9. I think it's fitting. I think it's 100% fitting. I really do. And a lot of you going to be upset that they are ranked number 9th and it's unbeaten team poll, but people who understand and watch this game and are critical of all teams, not just, they're 3-0. They've beat some really good teams, but you're just not going to look at, you're going to ignore that the offense is bad. Don't do that. The offense is bad right now. USC at number 8. I love this. USC is one of the most dangerous teams in all of college football, and I'm going to give the Big Ten a fair warning right now. Lincoln Riley is not a happy camper because he's so disrespected. And I don't get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though I did say they misused Zachariah Branch, they did, but I don't think he was ever an air raid guy. I just don't think he fits in that system because he's such a niche player. But USC is dangerous, and they're just slowly putting hands and feet on people. Watch out for this team. Watch out for them. Ole Miss coming in at number 7. Defeated Arkansas a week ago, 41-35. Lane Kiffin just figuring it out. Georgia coming in at number 6, 3-0. Gave up a lot of points last week. That 3 straight touchdowns they gave up to Tennessee, and Aguilar went 14-14 was a little scary to watch of a Kirby Smart coach team. But they found a way to win. Their quarterback is better than advertised. Better than what I projected them to be. So he's ahead of schedule. They're going at that type of environment. Kudos to them. Miami, 3-0. When will Mario Cristobal? That's a question I have to ask everybody. USC in this top 40, Jalen, was number 8. They had them rated higher than LSU and Florida State. I agree. USC is phenomenal. You said it in the chat earlier. Oh, my dog, East Coast Gridiron in the building. Tennessee and Georgia look like the best teams, man, in the country. I like that. He said that at 11:45 p.m. Hey, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it at all. Damn good game, by the way. I did enjoy that game. Miami, when will Mario crystal ball? That's a question I got to ask everybody. It's going to happen at some point this year. And I know a lot of y'all like, Governor, what you mean by that? They look really good. Carson Beck looks like the guy that we thought that could have been the guy heading into the 2025 NFL draft. They really do look good. And they're sound. All levels offensively, all levels defensively. They're extremely sound. But it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I will apologize. But I think it will happen at some point. Texas A&M. I love Texas A&M. I really do. Little concerned defensively. But offensively, they have the ability to put up points. To me, it's when they went down, and then after, Tyler Buckner, I feel for Tyler Buckner, who bobbled the snap. It was the confidence on the sidelines. They just knew we got the ball. We're going to get the ball last. We're going to win. Even after a holding call on the kick return. Everybody talks about the last play with the obvious holding. Absolutely. The kick return was called back too. They canceled out each other, right? The Texas A&M team is dangerous. Would we love for Marcel Reed to get that percentage up? Absolutely. Gunnar Stockton decided to show his face after not having one big time throw through 2 weeks. Hey, man. I was afraid because I picked Georgia to win that game. But when I saw how hot Aguilar was and, them scoring on 3 consecutive drives and it looked like nobody in the state of Georgia could attempt to cover Braswell, I was concerned. I did not think Georgia had that type of win in their bag. And you know how we evaluate the game, East Coast. Do you have more than one way to win a game? You have more than 2 ways to win a game. Georgia showed that they had more than one way to win a game. So I'm excited with that program. Pitt State at number 3. We got Ohio State at number 2 and then Oregon number 1. This list wasn't bad at all. Like I said, not a huge fan of everything that ESPN does. There's no secret here. If you've been watching this show for a while, you know that. And my phone is going off right now. That's crazy, yo. But we're going to get into our next segment. So this governor ruling is pretty much just a Heisman Watch 4.0. Hello, Heisman. I believe that Marcel Reed has entered the chat. Like I said, I would love for him to get that completion percentage up. But let's talk about it. So in your estimations, and answer this in the chat, Jalen and East Coast, y'all in the chat, and whoever else is in here watching, you guys can go ahead and answer the chat. Who's your top 5 Heisman right now? And we'll talk about it. I think there's players who aren't getting enough credit. You guys know Sawyer Robinson through and through. I'm going on. Even after the 2 interceptions this weekend, he's on pace for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. If they can win 9 or 10 games, he'll be in the discussion. Amar Hardy, hello, welcome, brother. 462 yards, averaging 8.1 yards per carry. He's on pace for 1,800 yards, bro, and 20 touchdowns. Now, if Missouri considered it, continue their winning ways, I love it. Fun stat, in the last 2 times Georgia played at Neyland, Georgia had 0 false start penalties. I don't know how more loud it can get. That's an interesting stat. I did not know that. That's a heck of a pull, brother. Like I said, I didn't know that. But yeah, so Amar Hardy is playing out of his mind. This is a move that the moment he committed to Tennessee after being in the portal, Nino and D now were 100% happy with this, and he's showing why he's elite. 8.1 yards per carry is amazing. So those are my on the cusp guys. Should Taylor Green still be up here? I don't know. I think he's had a pretty daggone good season so far this season. I think the kid is really underrated. I think he could be one of those guys, and Jalen, and East Coast Gridiron, you guys know, as we've covered the Senior Bowl for years now. But if he has the ability to go there, I'm not sure what it'll be like with Nagy running. I always want to call it the Rees Senior Bowl, but it's not that anymore. But if he can go there and show out, I think he can help his draft stock. But he is playing outstanding this year. Carson Beck, yes, he 100% deserves to be up here. They handled business versus USF. That was another rain delay game or lightning delay game, however you want to call it. But Carson Beck has looked really, really good. And there's times he's had a few bad throws. But when will Mario crystal ball? That's a question I have to ask everybody. Because I think it will happen. It happens at some point every year. It really does. But Miami looks good this far. We got to celebrate them. Tommy Castellanos, man. What a story, dude. When I tell you I have insiders at Boston College who, they were done with this guy. 100% done with this guy. And what he's doing in Tallahassee right now is incredible. I know East Coast Gridiron, who's a Florida State fan, is 100% happy at what's going on down there. How you like your chances, man? You guys the best team in the ACC East Coast? But, almost 70% completion percentage. They were idle a week ago. No interceptions. He's been able to run the rock. And you got to like what they're doing. I think they got Kent State up next. They're going to put hands and feet on them. Got UVA. UVA is better than advertised, but they should beat them. And then they play Miami. So that's going to be a daggone good game. I like what Thomas Castellanos is doing. This guy has... I'm telling you, bro. Like, the things that he's been through at the collegiate level, the fact that he's here and in this moment, this is why we love college football. Not in any order. Robert Henry, UTSA. Carson Beck. Baron Morton has played phenomenally. Chris Brazel are your Heisman guys right now. I love that. I love that list. That's a sound list. We got John Mateer on this list, of course. What he's been able to do at Oklahoma. He's got an opportunity this week. They play Auburn. I still don't know where Auburn is yet. They beat my dogs in Baylor a few weeks ago, but I haven't watched much of them the last 2 weeks. But this game I will be interested in. Like I said, I am traveling this week. I was idle last week. I did enjoy being idle, but I did miss being on the gridiron. So it's going to be an interesting game between them and Auburn. And then Marcel Reed, like I said, I'm buying all Marcel Reed stock. That completion percentage is bothering me. It's like right there, just right there in your face. You want him to complete more passes, but when it's time to make plays, the kid makes plays. That's the Heisman watch 4.0. We're going to get into this around the nation. We're going to try to be quick because I ain't trying to go into overtime again like we did yesterday, so let's get to it. Alrighty, so who are some of the best fits for UCLA and Virginia Tech, and what's next? And I want you guys to, in the chat, go ahead. If you say something, you guys think you got some guys that will be good fits for both of these programs, let me know. But I think what both of these programs got to do is take a deep, long look in the mirror and figure out who we are. Who we are. That's you know what? That's Jalen's approach, East Coast, to be honest with you, because Jalen's team can be doing phenomenally. He's not going to say much because he just wants to see it continue, right? So I don't blame you for tempering your expectations, but Mike Norvell, bro, is he the runaway coach of the year this year? I know there's some other quality candidates, but I mean he's got to be in the discussion. He has to be. But I think both of these programs, like I was saying, they have to take long, deep looks in the mirror and figure out what are our issue, right? Because I think what both of these teams are going to find out is that, hey, these jobs aren't as desirable as you probably thought they were. You're not going to get the draw that you thought you were. It's just the fact of the matter. Because, in my opinion, both of these programs got a lot of cleaning up to do. At the ground level, at the AD level, if you guys are going to go to, general manager route, then go to general manager route. But there's a lot of cleaning up to do with both of these programs. Both of these programs have had financial issues, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Because I've been in Blacksburg quite a few times. The stadiums are always sold out. It's difficult to get through, pregame, getting to the stadium. Because people are everywhere. So what's going on with the money? Now, UCLA is a little bit different. There's a lot to compete with. I said that in the opening. Women, weed, and weather in California, there's just so much to do out there. You got a lot to compete with. You'll even see it at SC games that they aren't fully sold out, like you see at some of these other college towns across America. But what's going on with that program? Why were you guys having the financial issues you were having? These are the evaluations you need to do. Are you willing to spend money? Because this era of college football is pay for play. Are you willing to spend money? Will Stein to Virginia Tech with feed families. If I'm Kyron, I'm faking an injury and asking for a waiver to play under Will. I like that. I think that would be a great pick. We see what that kid is doing in Eugene right now. Definitely calling great games for Oregon. Would he want to go there, though? East Coast? That's the question I ask. Would he want to go there? Virginia might be the best team in Virginia. Yeah. Virginia probably is the best team in Virginia. Them old Dominion kids gotta dude. I don't even talk about Liberty. I was telling Moon last night. He said, "Why you ain't been talking about Liberty?" I said, "I'm not ready to deal with that right now. We're gonna put that to the side." But UVA has looked good. But would Will Stein want to go there, or is the grass greener where he's at in Eugene and just waiting for a better offer? Would Will Stein want to go to UCLA? Right. So I got a couple coaches in my mind, but I asked the same question for each and every last one of them. Would they want to go to these programs? Justin Wilcox. Old Dominion said not so fast. Justin Wilcox, right? Doing a phenomenal job at Cal Berkeley this season. And he's Cal through and through. Is UCLA more of a desirable job than Cal? Cal, of course, is in the ACC, right? UCLA is in the Big Ten. Would Wilcox be able to recruit there? I believe he'll be able to get some of his players to follow him there, but why would he do that? Is UCLA desirable like it used to be? Like they settled with DeShaun Foster. I hate to disrespect the guy. That's not what I'm trying to do. But they settled with that coaching hire. You guys had Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly for a couple of seasons there did a great job, but the lame duck period, one of the worst I've ever seen. Right? Just being real. So think about what it was like to be a Virginia Tech fan when Frank Beamer was there. And a lot of you who got Shane Beamer in the leash, y'all smoking that peace pipe. There's no way he go back there. I don't think the state of Virginia has a Brinks truck big enough for Shane Beamer to want to leave and come here. I just don't. Sure, his father would be proud, his family would be happy, but would he be happy? You know what I'm saying? Chandler Morris is absolutely a pro quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, Moon had Chandler Morris on his top 10 quarterbacks heading into the season. So, yes, he is a pro quarterback. I agree with that 100%. So, let's talk about some of the candidates that's been mentioned. Alex Golesh. Will Alex Golesh leave Tampa to come and coach Virginia Tech? What would that system that he runs, the veer and shoot, look like in Blacksburg? I think it could work. I think he could get some success there. He's shown the ability to get some quality talent at USF. It's just a different nuance. Like I said, I feel like with UCLA, their last hire, I don't think they did their due diligence. Virginia Tech did do their due diligence because Brent Pry is an excellent positional coach, especially at the linebacker level and the defensive line. We saw what he did at Penn State as a defensive coordinator. Virginia Tech did their work to get him there, but they stopped working after he got there, in my opinion. I think Virginia Tech has done a halfway decent job of recruiting in the DMV because there's talent here. They was able to get a kid like Dorian Strong, who's from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. You had him honorable mention. I just wanted to say him back in the P4 after a couple games. You completely sold. I love that. And I know you do your homework. And I know you do your research. And I know you watch a lot of film. So if you say that, it's gold with me. All right. I think some people will get upset what I'm about to say next. Virginia Tech do not go get Michael Vick. Don't do it. The expectations will be so out of this roof because people will be so happy that he's back there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let him learn. Let him develop. Do it the right way. You guys need to go get a splash hire. You guys have to be right with this hire. And you guys have to be willing to spend money. I don't care how you got it. You just have to be willing to spend money. So what about a guy like Tony White? Right? Garrett Riley. I thought after this season he'll be handed a Power 4 job, right? They've looked horrible. They've been unable to move the ball after this season. Would you guys like to see Garrett Riley in Virginia Tech? Just like you didn't want Deion at FSU. Yeah, I agree with that. Let those memories stay those memories. I agree with you, brother. But, yeah, so Virginia Tech, we named a couple people. Alex Golesh wouldn't be a bad name, but who would want to leave where they're currently at to go coach that job? Is there anybody like I've mentioned Jon Sumrall for both of these schools, but would he want either of these schools? Or is life better in the Big Easy at Tulane? These are the questions that I have. I don't know who they're going to get. If they're able to get Alex Golesh, I think that's a good hire. I think that's an outstanding hire. He will be able to recruit. I think that 100%, and he could develop quarterbacks. But UCLA, I think this job is even worse. Right? You got a beautiful location. You're a part of the Big Ten. There's endless recruiting potential, but who wants to coach there? Because you're not spending any money in the portal. You better do it via high school because they don't want to spend a lot of money. But the financial constraints are real. The long distance travel is real, just like it is with Cal and Stanford. But, if in the right hands, UCLA can be a perennial top 15 program. I do agree with that. I do think so. But who's some of the people that will go there? If they're able to somehow get Justin Wilcox from Cal, I think that would be a stand-up hire. But there has to be more to go with that. Who's going to be the GM of this team? Who's going to make sure that the finances are straight with this team? UCLA is just, they reek of trouble. 100%. So these coaches are going to go in there, and UCLA think they're interviewing a coach. The coach is going to be interviewing them. Because if I'm a coach and I'm going there and that's a prospective job, I have questions. I have so many questions. So many questions. Like, you will leave that interview feeling like you were interviewed. There's no way. No way. So we got Kalani to take from BYU. Why would he leave what he had for UCLA? I'm just being real. Why would he leave there? No, he's not doing that. Tommy Rees, Browns offensive coordinator. Not bad. But I don't see why that would work. Willie Fritz. I love Willie Fritz. I really do. Love the job he did at Tulane. You see what he's doing in H-Town right now. But is that job desirable to him? Because that's a slam dunk hire for either one of these programs if they're able to do it. But would he want to do that? That's the question that I ask. Spencer Danielson. Would he want to do it? Not sure. Tosh Lupoi. Would he want to do it? I'm not sure. Right? And I keep mentioning Jon Sumrall, but that's my question. Will he take these jobs anywhere? So let me know down in the comment section what you think these teams need to do as far as finding replacements in the interim and long-term finding replacements. What is going to be their solution? Because Georgia Tech ended up getting a great coach out of an interim. Don't forget that. Brent Pry was an interim guy. Finished down the stretch after they was horrible at 500. They gave him a shot, and they saw that he had the buy-in from the players, and they had to believe. So you can start now with that search, but you got to clean your house inside out. You got to take a look at the mirror and figure out what's going on. I truly appreciate everybody that came in, chimed in, talked college football with me. Shout out to Postgame. Postgame is here in every stream. He always says what's up. My dog Jalen helped me with one of my segments where I had the video playing. Shout out to East Coast Gridiron. Personally, one of my favorite media personalities out there just because of the work he puts in. And he talks both college football and NFL and still find time to, study film and do all the crazy things. And he's always in the know for both sports. And I truly do appreciate that. And I appreciate you all, everybody who always watches over on Twitter. My dude Squint Ten Toes, who's always watching. My dog who runs the S-Pop Road Dog, he's always watching. Nino's always sharing. So I do appreciate that. Moon watches every episode every day, whether he watches it while we're live. Because Moon, we call him Moon for a reason. He be up to 5 in the morning. So he'll call me laughing like at 5 p.m. because he just watched the whole episode. So definitely appreciate him. Appreciate everyone. Definitely growing over here. So like I said, hey, East Coast, I don't know what your day looks like. Daytime, I don't know if you're at work or, what you have, but I'm doing a governor's guest week, and I want you to pop on here. Like I said, I'm trying to have a lot of guests that week. It'll probably be like a 15-minute spot. I'll probably have 4 guests each day for a total of, that's like 20 guests throughout the week. So just let me know. It won't be next week, but the week after. I'm going to do a governor guest week, bro, and you're definitely one of the first people I thought about. So just let me know. I know Billy Napier will be next. They need to go and get Jed Fish, UF alum. Oh, I like that. Jed Fish has proven he can coach. I didn't like the way that he left Arizona, but he's proven that he's a high caliber coach. Florida's got their hands full, bro. They really do. They really do. I don't even want to begin there, man. But as I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive and advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. Until next time, you all take care. I got you, brother. Governor of college football. We're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of the ball.